Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Property Sue and I do videos on real estate and real estate related matters, and today I'm going to be answering a few questions about Airbnb that one of you guys had for me, and I hope these are going to guide other people who are also interested in venturing in the same business. For those who don't know, Airbnb is basically a company that deals with short-term rentals. So Airbnb is just a company, but the business is called short-term rentals. There are other companies including booking.com. Basically what it involves is that you take a room or a house or an apartment and you furnish it, and then you can have guests over, and the guests pay you per night, per month, depending on the length of their stay. So the following are the questions that I got asked, and number one is, would you advise someone to invest in Airbnb right now during COVID? My answer is yes, I would, because people are tending to want to move away from the hotel setting during COVID times. Also, if you're traveling with young kids, you want a setting that is as close to home as possible, and most of the time families prefer Airbnb, me included. I prefer Airbnb when I'm going for holiday with my kids, but if I'm going for holiday alone or me and my partner, we normally use hotels. So I would say that Airbnb has been affected in some ways by COVID-19, but it has also been favored in other ways. And if international travel goes back to normal, for obvious reasons, people are going to prefer Airbnb. Also, what people don't know about Airbnb is that you could get a long-term tenant. Let's say, for example, somebody is an expatriate, they prefer to pay an Airbnb as opposed to getting an apartment and furnishing it themselves. The next question is, what will be the initial investment for an Airbnb? Okay, this question varies and it depends on the area in which you want to set up your short-term rental. In terms of, if you don't own the property in which you're intending to set up your short-term rental, you definitely have to pay rent. So if you go for a higher end area, you're going to obviously pay more rent as opposed to maybe a middle class or slightly lower end location. And number two, it also depends on the size of your short-term rental, because the bigger your place, the more money you're going to need, mostly in terms of furnishing it. The next question is, what niche would you advise someone to target? This is also another question that is varied in answers, but the niche I would personally advise someone to go for is the high-end niche. Reason being, in this niche you have the probability of getting longer stays because most people prefer high-end neighborhoods due to several reasons, including security and also aesthetics. The second reason why I would advise you to go for a high-end area is because you're going to have a higher occupancy rate. This is because high-end areas mostly are near amenities, including airports, including major business areas, and due to this you're going to have a higher occupancy rate as opposed to people in other areas. The reason why you should go for high-end areas is obviously due to the high returns. These high-end areas are obviously appealing, and people are willing to pay more, whether it's for just a one-time thing or because it's somebody's preference, but you're bound to get higher returns. This question is, what expenses are involved in running the Airbnb? Major expenses involved in running short-term rentals is, number one, rent if you don't own the property. If you own the property, that will be an advantage for you. Number two is the maintenance in terms of replacing broken items, electricals and electrical appliances. The next question is, what areas in Nairobi would you advise someone to rent out a place? For this question, I'm going to say two places. The first place is obviously, as I said earlier, high-end neighborhoods. And the second place is near the airport, because most people will tend to spend a night or their last hours near the airport so as to avoid missing their flights. How profitable would you say it is, and is there a specific region out of Nairobi that is doing particularly well? How profitable would you say it is? Airbnb is definitely very profitable because rates are per night, especially when you have business. Let's say, for example, a studio in Roysambu will go for between 5,000 to 8,000 per month. But if you furnished the studio, you would rent it out for between 2,000 and 2,500 per night. So you only need a week in the month for you to get the same returns as a traditional tenant. Also, the other part of the question is there a specific region out of Nairobi that is doing particularly well? Obviously, satellite towns where there are things close by, for example, Narok, maybe due to Masai Mara, and other towns include Naivasha and Nakuru, because people like you love to go down there for weekends. And in such areas, you'll find that Airbnbs or short-term rentals in areas, especially Naivasha and Nakuru, are doing particularly well, because number one is because the rent is lower, and number two is that the reason for people visiting these areas is just to have fun. And you obviously know, when you are out to have fun, you're more ready to spend money than your usual self. Do you agree? And those are the questions I was asked, and I hope they are going to help somebody out there who is intending to start the business. If you like videos like this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also like this video, it helps out my videos a lot. Also comment down below if you have maybe better answers to what I've just answered, because I've only answered from my own perspective for what I've seen work and what I've seen not work. And until next time, guys, it has been your girl Property Sue, and bye.
Feel the daylight on our skin. We are young, we feel everything. Yeah, it's starting.